The future's coming whether you're ready for it or not. In your 20s and 30s, your future seemed like a very vague thing. At least it did to me. I didn't really spend a whole lot of time thinking about how I was going to get to where I wanted to be. But the closer I got, the more I thought about it. I mean, I might have thought about it to an unhealthy degree. I was so obsessed with it. But there's something to be said for that level of urgency. And I'm not trying to scare you, but I do want you to think that you need to give this a good hard think right now because it's coming, and I want you to be ready for it. So if you think about future proofing your life, this shouldn't be something that's fear based. It's really about giving yourself a sense of security because we should all be able to live with security and dignity, especially as single women. And maybe you found yourself single again, and maybe you're not as used to dealing with your finances on your own. Or maybe like some people, they sort of have an over reliance on third party people, like, oh, I have a guy that handles my money. You've got to take ownership and control, and you will have the best result if you really focus on your money. And there's no time like the present to get started. What do I mean when I talk about future proofing yourself? It's making sure that you have that level of financial stability to weather whatever life is going to throw at you. Do you know that life does throw things at you? Job loss, disability, death. In my case, my just turned 18-year-old son died very suddenly after a 2.5 week illness, and it just about destroyed me. And it's a terrible thing to have to live with, but live with it, I have to. So I have to make sure that I can go on. And I know other people have suffered tragedies as well. Maybe you have a spouse that becomes ill, or maybe you yourself become ill. You just don't know what's going to happen to you. So you cannot keep going on assuming everything's going to be as it is. You can't go on assuming that you're going to continue to make the same amount of money you're making right now. And I'll tell you another thing. If you're someone that struggles with credit card debt, and that's with you on full income, you have to ask yourself, how are you going to manage when you're not making your full income? And this is something I find kind of alarming, how common this seems to be among six-figure earners. So I'm doing my part to make sure that I want to give people a virtual shake and say, what are you doing? You got to knock this off. There are three pillars to future proofing. One is having a margin, having that safety net in the form of an emergency fund set aside in a separate bank account for use in an emergency. Having a healthy margin also means not living at the edge of your income, meaning you must have money every month left over to save and invest. And here's a Warren Buffett quote that you should spend what you have after saving. And most people in our country in this day and age seem to do the reverse. They say, I can't fully fund that account because there's just not enough money left over each month. And you have to say, well, you need to take a good hard look at that because it doesn't make sense that you make a good, healthy income and you're not able to save a good percentage of that. And also reducing your fixed expenses. I think that is one of the best moves we can make is not having like having your mortgage paid off is a good thing. Not having a car payment is a great thing. And when your expenses are low, first of all, you're able to save a lot more, but also you don't need to save as much because your cost won't be as much going forward. So it has this very powerful twofold effect. Another pillar of future proofing yourself is taking ownership and responsibility. It's kind of lame to say, oh, my ex-husband this, or my boss that, or the president this. It's taking control of what you can control. And what you can control is how much money you're spending every month, right? It's hard to control your income. It's impossible to control the stock market and the general economy, but you can control what you spend every month. So think about that and think about how you can reduce your spending so that you are preparing that safety net for your future. The third pillar is that of having options for yourself. So maybe you start a side hustle now. Maybe you do something sort of like what I'm trying to do here is get online and start talking to people about something you're passionate about. And maybe you can make a good side income doing that. And that's something that you can carry over into your retirement. Keep your debt low because that is a great offensive move as well. It's really easy to live if your expenses are low, simply put. And some people have broken that code and are doing it. They're living like champs. And some people just say, life's expensive, and they act like they had no part in their expense load. This is your midlife reality check. The future is coming and it's getting closer every day. And the longer you wait to take your money seriously and to focus on it, you're not just standing still, you're actually losing time. Your money could be out there invested and growing every month and building more money because, the miracle of compound interest and all that. And if you're not investing, if you're constantly just paying down debt every month, you're just simply not going to get ahead. And I think 10 years from now, you'll look back and say, I really wish I hadn't blown all that money on things that were so unimportant, like, beauty treatments and eating out all the time and all the ways that we so casually blow a whole lot of money. If you're aging alone like I am, you really need to take your money seriously because frankly, there's no one coming to save you. And it's up to you to prepare for yourself. You can't control the stock market. You can't control so many things in this world, but you can control quite a bit in your own economy. I think that's something Susie Orman would say, focus on your own economy. I don't want you to panic, but I do want you to take a good hard look. And if debt is something you struggle with, I have come up with a midlife debt detox kit. It's just a inexpensive little toolkit. The bulk of it is a spreadsheet, but there's also some guides and some videos to help you get your handle on debt because I am very worried about people in this country that seem to live on debt every month. And I don't know how you can retire if you keep carrying debt around with you. What are some practical tools you can take right now? Well, the first thing I would suggest you do is take a look at your spending over the last 90 to 180 days. And you may have an app that you use for this every month already. Or you can just go in old school and download your activity from your bank and from your credit cards and just take a look at it. And it is painful. I know I have the same pains myself when I look at it. And a lot of times you go, wait, what was that? Like, I don't remember, like the name doesn't make any sense. And you go, oh my gosh. Or those subscriptions that you forgot to cancel. I mean, we've all had these things happen, but the more vigilant you are about looking at what you're actually spending, the better uh, faster you can react to it and fix it so you're not blowing money on stupid things you're not even aware of. But you don't future proof yourself by hoping things will turn around or hoping things will get better or hoping, that some great thing's going to happen because it's best to, I mean, you can hope for the best, but plan for the worst would be my advice. But every month, try to focus on one category of your P&L. So I was an accountant for 35 years. So if every month we'd review the P&L of the company. And then, of course, you can do the same in your own life and be the CEO of your own life and look at it. Where can I cut? Every month, pick an area to focus on. If it's whatever your biggest numbers are, paying off the car faster. If it's reducing your utility bill, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do and you probably should do. And because when you cut your costs, it's so powerful because you take that cost cutting habit with you month after month after month. And it's something that will save you so much money over the long term. And I know frugality gets a kind of a hard rap, but there's no shame in just being a good steward of your money. And it's something I think we have a responsibility to ourselves and to our children not to be a burden to them because they have their own futures to worry about. And especially people like us that make good money, because I would be kind of ashamed if my kids thought that I acted like I made good income. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? I ran out of money. Can I come move into your basement? Like, and you don't want to have to do that. So practical moves you can start right now are increase your retirement contributions by 1 to 3%. I want you fully funding that this year. If you're over 50, You could put up to 32,000 in your 401k, and that does not include the employer match. So between what you put in and what the employer puts in, you could be saving like $38,000 a year, something like that. And my goodness, that adds up fast. It really does. Because I was maxing the heck out of mine my last few years working, and you don't regret that either. Review and cut one expense category per month, and then you build these habits so they accumulate. Build up a 6-month emergency fund, and again, if you cut your costs, that need for 6 months emergency fund also goes down, doesn't it? Try to calculate your actual retirement number, and I know this is different for everybody. If you have a pension, if your house is paid off. I mean, there are so many variables, so it's really hard to pick a number, but I'll tell you one very round number to aim for. If you're about 50 and you make about 150 a year, you should have about $1 million net worth by now. So I don't know where you are. And, it's people in California where I lived for a good long time. I mean, their houses alone could be worth, they could have that much equity, certainly, but you can't really count it if you have to live in the house, right? So, you need to have money set aside to live off. Focus really hard on getting out of that high interest rate debt. And once you get out of that debt, it is so easy to drop all those amounts you were paying into or debt towards your savings and investment. And then it will grow fast. And in 6 months, you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make. Stop thinking, I'll get to that later. I have too much going on at work right now, because put yourself first, because you know that your company is putting itself first. So put yourself first, focus on you. Here's something to think about. The discipline you put in now gives you freedom later. And that is something we should all work toward. The future you is not a stranger, it is you. And I know it's hard to think of the future, but 5 years from now, you might not even be able to work anymore. I stopped working after my son died. I mean, it was a couple of years after he died, but I did stop working because I simply didn't really care anymore. And how could something like that happen? It's a terrible thing. I do want you to start to think of yourself 10 years from now. And would you look back and say, I'm really proud of the way I handled my money 10 years ago? So think about that. I know it's so easy to have the lifestyle creep and to want to do nice things, but you always have to keep an eye on your future you, because you're the only advocate she has, really. You don't need to make dramatic sweeping changes right now, but pick an area each month to focus on. You need to be consistent with these changes. And I would like for you to have a goal for yourself and pick a goal for the next 90 days. Say either I'm getting out of debt or I'm putting $2,500 away in an account. Pick a number that's aggressive but doable, and pick an aggressive goal and work toward it. And then every quarter you do the same thing, because it'll be completely worth it. I promise you. So that's it for me for now. Future proof yourself. I want you to have a great future. I really do. And I do. I worry so much about women that are single in midlife. Most of us aren't getting pensions, and we need to do for ourselves.